Okay, Jeremy here, Jeeps Unlimited, partsbreakers.com, 303-666-9020. Listing a wide track CJ7 frame. So years are 82 to 86. Not going to get into can you use them other than yes, you can on the early ones, but you kind of want to know that going into them. And you want to know the differences. And if you want to know the differences, take a look at the YouTube channel that this is posted on, and there's plenty of videos comparing stuff we've done over the years. So anyway, this is a beautiful frame. One thing I always like to point out in the very beginning is other than washing these things with a lot of heat, a lot of pressure, we don't doctor them up in any way. I like people to see them as they sit, and I'm proud of that. All the black paint you see on these frames, and this is almost all of our frames in general, is factory paint from the day. So I mean, it's just, it goes to show you like how good and clean these are. Now, in addition to that, we do a couple things a little different. We've been doing frames and tubs for 21 years. This is more of a final approval video in a sense, because I have a customer that's possibly lined up for this one. Doesn't mean he'll say, yes, for sure. But usually if somebody's like, hey, look, I just want to see it. And that's why we like to do the videos. We want you to see it as if you're standing here next to me. Then we're usually green lit on it. But again, I want you guys to give me that green light, not me just assume. But with that said, we always scope everything, and you should scope anything that you're doing frame wise, because you just never know. This one, I mean, it'd be rare that a frame this clean would be junk on the inside. There would be some kind of tall tale signs, but again, it's just peace of mind. And then the other thing is we always measure them. And again, it's just because you just don't know if it's ever been in a fender bender is one thing, but if it took a good hit on one of these horns, or even maybe the back's pretty stout, but it would definitely show up there as well. And you can actually tweak these. They're not all that strong when they get hit from the corner. So we always measure them, and if they at all come back bent, they end up scrap. We cut them up and use them for other things. So this one checked out there. And then the other tall tale signs, again, these frames, they have usually the weakness in these frames is typically the back. And I'll show you that up close and personal here in just a second. This one's beautiful, both inside and out again. And right there where they like to collapse at the rear, where that cross member is, it is gorgeous. But the other area that loves to like wallow out and just be kind of ugly, and sometimes you just have to deal with this, but in this frame, again, very clean, are going to be these bushing mount holes. And usually they'll start getting where they get oblong. They just get enough. You pinch two pieces of a rubber isolator. You can actually see a couple of them around where we popped them out. And even if it's not in a salty area, just the sand and abrasives will usually wear through on them. So we got a little oxidation on these, but absolutely no rust. And when I say oxidation, I'm not talking about, I'm talking literally, not even surface. Surface is when we're losing layers, and sometimes that's real light, and sometimes that can be, integrity issues. And then you got just absolute rot. So this frame, as far as, and again, another reason I like to do my videos is because it helps me too. I can go over this with a fine tooth comb. Not only does it make it so you're seeing it as I am, but I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I was listing a 5 frame for a guy. It's actually back on that side, and came out, good looking. It was a good, clean Jeep to begin with. It wasn't until my videos that as we're doing the, rolling through them, that I'm like, oh, look at that. They fish plated. And where they had fish plated was up here, and they had 2 plates on the outside. And again, if somebody's just went in and reinforced it, it happens to be where the steering gear box is up in this area. And a lot of people do get a little freaked out there because there's a lot of tension, tie rods and whatnot. If you ever have something, you're wheeling in them, I mean, they're not real strong. So they do have a perplexity to crack in those areas. And if it was fixed, especially before it cracks, that's fine, that's one thing. But this frame that I was doing, you could tell had been fixed after the fact. And the way you could tell is you could see where they plated it had been bent out. So that box had pushed outwards. And they did the best job they could. And, is it still usable for somebody? Yeah. But I would hate to not show somebody that. And for this particular build, he wanted original, and he did not want something that was patched from rust or repaired from cracks. There was another crack on that frame, as I went even further on this side, and it was right in this area, and it hadn't even been fixed yet. So, and it was just starting off. So, you know, it's not uncommon to see, they basically take 2 C channels to make these things. I mean, it's a little bit more than that, but if they get, you know, especially big lifts come off of them, big tires, big power in them, they can crack, and it's not a bad idea if you were a welder to go through and maybe even you can see all the welds alongside where they do all those, are all factory welds, you know, and you could beef them up a little bit. Is it needed? No. And if you're not wheeling and you're not putting a ton of power down, it's definitely not warranted. But if you're one of those, it's like a lot of people are, who's just like, I just want the in case the doomsday scenario frame and Jeep, then yeah, go through it and beef it up, especially why it's in the form it's in now. Okay, so that's it. That's basically all I wanted to talk about. The frame speaks for itself, and I think you'll be happy with it. I know you will be, because like I said, I don't like showing up on people's doors. I am coming out myself. Most of the time we run hot shots. We do that every couple, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks. I'd say we have a decent load that comes out of here as far as a hot shot goes. And it costs a little bit more to do hot shots, but we still very affordable. But when I do it, you save a little bit of money, and plus you get a deal with me. And it's nice putting a face to the name for both of us. So looking forward to that, okay? So any of the, you see the little discoloration here, the paint's come off. Again, no rot, no rust, not even surface, you know, any loss of surface. Matter of fact, anything that you see on particular this area here, if there's anything you see there's powders stuff come off, this is just dirt that got caught. If you look at those mounts, and there's actually good fresh paint underneath here, or just bare metal. So the pressure washer is pretty strong, but it ain't strong enough to take that off. So if you want that off, you're gonna have to use an abrasive or a dip or some kind of like that, which is totally fine to do too. Our frames are clean enough that you could literally neutralize, or they call it etching. You know, you don't have to sandblast them, but it always, if you have ability to do that and have somebody locally that'll hook you up with that or do it for a fair deal, that's not a bad way to go. Eventually we'll have it again if we ever get down and have time to mess with it. We used to do it years ago, but it's just not really something that we mess with. So okay, I'm gonna flip it over because I like to show you it from the outside, from the top and the bottom, and I got to put the phone down to do that. So if there's anything I missed, just, you know, feel free to give me a holler. Hopefully I'll catch it on this side. Even this cross support here is in really good shape. It's got a couple walled holes from the bumpers or the bumperettes on it, but nothing crazy. Most of the time those are all pretty banged out of shape. The corner's a little banged up, but not too bad. And typically they like to rust on these ends, but like I said, this frame absolutely cherry with that. So there's a couple things on it that we do normally pull. There's still an e-brake cable on it. On this one, I'm not going to get real critical just because we're running out of time for this particular trip coming up. And that's usually what I'll tell you. If it's on the frame, I'll usually leave it. Now, the only thing that I think may come off of this frame is the sway bar brackets, because those do sell as a kit that we have. Not for sure we'll have time to do it, but it is a possibility that those will come off. And if you have some, yours will bolt right back on in place of those ones, okay? And again, this is the wide track frame. And the biggest thing, I'm not going to go into it too much, but the difference you can always tell a wide track from a narrow right off the bat is that the both rear shocks are welded in the rear on both narrow and wide. But on the front, the shock towers bolt on wide tracks, and they're welded on narrows. And if somebody's converted a frame, you'll usually see remnants of, like, you know, if they went to a narrow track, you'll see that off, but you'll still see where their bolts are because they don't have those, they're not provisioned each way, and then vice versa as well. So, okay, pretty simple. All right, hang on just a sec.